Now brought up by Landeskog. In comes Landeskog for Soderberg. Rantanen shoots. Mikko Rantanen, the overtime winner.
This is Mikko Rantanen. He's considered a top 15 player in the world, and he just got traded for the second time in a month. People generally know that Carolina's strategy and system didn't help him out, but how true is that? And is Dallas' system any better? After seeing he only had 6 points in 13 games since the trade, I think most fans thought he was basically washed in Carolina, but I've seen a lot of people say he just didn't fit the Carolina system. I think that's true, but there's a misconception at play here which I think is why Carolina acquired him and why he didn't work out as well. Rantanen's reputation as a power forward is kind of false. He's a playmaking sniper who happens to be in a big body, similar to Auston Matthews, but you won't find Rantanen laying out big hits. I think Carolina wanted him to use his frame to help win puck battles and maintain offensive zone time, but he wasn't really built for it. He's built for playing the cycle, absolutely, but he's not really good at working the boards or playing as the F1, which the wingers are required to do in Carolina's system. Rantanen never really felt like a comfortable fit here, especially when he's so skilled on the rush first and foremost. Players like Martinook, Svechnikov, Stahl, and Aho, they've all found success in Carolina by being consistently strong at winning puck battles and recovering possession. It's the bread and butter of their shoot and retrieve game, something they've gone so good at over the years. They love stacking shot attempts to work a team down. This has led to them having over 1,000 more even strength shot attempts than the next highest team in the last 3 seasons. They're less focused on high value shots and they're more focused on working the opposing team down over time. I think people knew that, but the problem wasn't Carolina's quote defensive system, it's their cycle system and their shoot at all time system. Rantanen's bread and butter is working in a rush-based system and finding advantages during the other team's fire drill. This year, Colorado had the 4th best rate of zone entry at 5v5, holding onto the puck or passing while getting into the zone to create a chance instead of dumping it in. Dallas, in this stat, is 10th, Carolina is 27th. They absolutely prefer dumping it in and working the boards to get possession back. Despite being better on the rush, Rantanen still found a home in this system, and he was one of the better players at getting to the puck first, winning offensive zone puck battles, and generating offense through the forecheck. End of the day, he's a superstar, right? I think the issue is that early on, the shots just weren't going in. His cross-slot passes were either not getting finished or barely off the mark. He was getting shoved along the boards, but making the right play, looking like a guy who's trying to fit the system and still showing his flash. These plays just never ended up as goals, and I think a lot of people not watching Carolina missed everything he did, which wasn't a goal or an assist. He's done this enough in Colorado and doesn't seem any worse in Carolina, except when the passes are from the cycle, there's less opportunity to take advantage of defensive zone breakdowns. Teams can generally hold their structure a lot better when they have time to prepare. Also, it's worth noting that while they both played for Team Canada at the Four Nations, there's a big difference between passing to McKinnon and passing to Jarvis. Still, he was only in Carolina for a month after spending the last decade in Colorado. He acclimatized pretty quickly to the system, but in the times when Mikko was on the ice in Carolina, they scored on just 5% of their shots at even strength. This is too low for any player, and it's a statistical indicator that he was unlucky, just not getting the bounces. For reference, the Calgary Flames have had the worst even strength shooting all season, already at 11 games played with 0 goals scored at even strength. They're still shooting at 7% at 5v5 this year. Paired with the fact that he only had 2 goals on 40 shots during his time in Carolina, it's hard to get any points when no one can score. And Rantanen absolutely has a shot that should be above 5%. Sometimes you just go through a cold streak. I think Mikko fit the system well enough despite being bad at playmaking on the rush there. Teammates always just bobbling passes. He tried to acclimatize, but his shitty point totals are just the shots not going in, I think. Ease what it is. Carolina can't afford to wait out this cold streak though, and if they acquired Rantanen earlier, I really think they would have loved to try him out more to see what works.
My sense of it from where I was sitting is this just didn't feel like home to him.
Unfortunately, deadline day hit and they hadn't figured it out yet. Sent his ass to Dallas, where I think the Stars have built the best forward group of the decade, maybe since Tampa. Dallas has had depth up front for years now, but apart from a season where it looked like Robertson was a stud, they've never had a superstar up front until now. Last May, Dallas played against Mikko Rantanen and the Colorado Avalanche in the second round. Ultimately, Dallas won in 6 games, but what Rantanen probably noticed is how the Stars managed to outchance Colorado off the rush. The speed from Hintz and Duchesne are obviously great, but Dallas has been able to generate chances through system rather than physical ability. Music to Rantanen's ears as a guy who's been doing that for his entire career next to McKinnon. That's why Dallas is 10th in controlled zone entry percentage at 5v5. They prefer to enter with control versus dumping it in. In the defensive zone, Dallas typically sends a winger out early to generate more panic for the opposing team's defense. something Rantanen has seen a lot of in Colorado when he played with McKinnon, who was known for darting out of the zone to create highlights. Rantanen saw firsthand from Dallas on this play when Mason Marchment darted out of the zone to force Makar back after he dumped it in. Rantanen couldn't reach the puck, and it finds Seguin, who has been in Dallas for over a decade. He knew to look straight up for Marchment. Broken play, but it lands on Marchment's stick, who had a breakaway all alone despite being one of the slowest players on the Stars, creating opportunity through system, strategy, and tactics. Using a 1-2-2 forecheck, there's always opportunity for counterplay, and Dallas prioritizes making chances from the neutral zone. Johnson makes a nice read to tip the puck past the Flames winger, and as soon as he gets possession, Ben, Dadonov, and Johnson all overload the strong side to collapse the defense, leaving Ilya Lyabushkin with time to make a play. Obviously, you'd prefer if it was, like Cale Makar shooting that, or like anyone who isn't Lyabushkin, but Dallas's systematic understanding of how to make rush chances is great news for Rantanen. The way I see it, there's a good fit in Dallas for Rantanen, a fit that could be as good as Colorado even, and I think Mikko knew would be a good fit.
Really good team in Carolina, as we've seen in a couple years. But I think, just the fit in Dallas.
We're talking fit for Rantanen in the system, but in terms of fixing a need for a team, Dallas just addressed their power play concerns that they've had for a while now. They were clicking at just 20% in the playoffs last season, including the entire 6-game series against the Oilers where they didn't get a single power play goal. 0 for 14 that series. It's a brutal look, but it's especially bad when they lost 2 of those games by 1 goal. Mikko Rantanen immediately becomes the best power play guy on the team, and he gets to run the same 1-3-1 that he had back in Colorado. Since 2021, only McDavid, Draisaitl, Kucherov, and McKinnon have more power play points than Rantanen, a result of high IQ and making great passes, but what we saw in Carolina is that he actually shot at a much higher rate on the power play than any previous season in Colorado. He embraced the number 1 role, not playing with Makar and McKinnon. I think it's going to open up a lot of offense for Dallas, who has never had a number 1 shooter. Not having a star who can get creative is how teams can go 0 for 14 on the power play when their system is figured out, which is exactly what happened against Edmonton last year. Acquiring Rantanen addresses an immediate need for the Stars, and I think it's at the point where you can say the team has 0 weaknesses, which is pretty scary for the Colorado Avalanche, who are pegged to play them right now, Rantanen's former team. After adding Rantanen, Dallas has one of the best forward groups we've seen in years and probably the best of the decade. The fact they got him for $12 million over the next 8 seasons is ridiculous as well. It's a major discount compared to the rumor that he wanted to be the highest paid player in the league. It does come down to fit at the end of the day, and Rantanen was so confident that Dallas was right for him, he signed an extension before putting on a Stars jersey for the first time. We've never seen a superstar traded twice in a month, and it's a shame that Carolina ended up having to play a hot potato here. They're a smaller market who needs playoff revenue more than most teams. Maybe they thought going all in with Rantanen this year was too risky, and a guaranteed second round appearance the next 5 seasons is better for the franchise. Either way, Dallas just acquired the best player that's been in the trade since Jack Eichel or Matthew Tkachuk, and we all know what happened with those guys. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe. I'm shooting for 4 million subscribers by the end of March, and it's really looking like we're not going to hit it, so we got to lock in here. Also, check out the Seth Jones video to see why Florida thinks acquiring an overpaid bum is going to help them win a cup.